minus 3 equals 4, and W minus 3 equals negative 4. Is everybody okay with that? Okay? So then on the first equation, what am I going to do to solve this? Bria, what would I do here on this first equation?
Add 3.
Good. So add the 3 over, so we end up with what?
7.
Good. W equals 7. Add the 3 on the second guy, and what do we end up with on that guy? Negative 1. So our two answers are 7 and negative 1. Okay?
Wait. Do they need to match the? Okay, no.
No, they won't always be matching. The only reason these were matching up here is because there was no other number.
Oh,
in
because
play.
it's already separated.
Yeah.
There's no equation in the what you said, brackets.
Absolute value.
That's the value.
Okay. All right. So what do you guys think about F?
Let's try it.
Oh. Subtract the 4, right? We got to isolate the absolute value, right? Isolate the absolute value. So Ashley B says we're going to subtract 4 from both sides, and she's correct. So I have 2 absolute value of x equals 32. Divide by,
Divide by 2.
yeah, and then divide by 2. Okay, so I have the absolute value of x equals, what's 32 divided by 2?
16.
16. Okay, so now, step 1, isolate the absolute value. So anything on the outside got moved over. Everybody okay with that first step? Okay, so now I have the absolute value by itself. What do we do on the second step? Equations, what will they look like?
What would be x equals negative 16? Oh, 16.
Here you go, 16 and negative 16, right? Okay, so you write your positive, you write your negative. Okay, so positive 16, negative 16. Now in this case, since we only had x on the inside, we're done. Okay, if there was like an x plus 1 in here, then we would have x plus 1 and x plus 1 and have to keep solving. Okay? Alright, I want you to go ahead and try G on your own. Try G on your own, and let's see how that goes. Does that say 3 plus? Does that say?
3 brackets.
So that's 3 what? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division?
3.
Okay, this is saying 3 times everything here.
Oh.
So how do you do times?
Distribute.
No, you can't distribute with absolute values, so not parentheses. There you go.
So divide by 3.
Yeah. So divide everything by 3, both sides by 3.
What is 26 divided by 2?
No. Did you isolate your absolute value first? So do you have anything on the outside? The 3? So move it first. Then write your 2 equations. Does that make sense?
Wait, but like for this one.
Yeah, isolate the absolute value first. So we had to move the 4 and the 2 because they're on the outsides.
Oh, okay.
So the 3's on the outside, move it, and then write your 2 equations. Okay? You can't distribute. These are absolute value symbols. These are parentheses.
Wait,
You cannot distribute, guys.
can you have a decimal answer? Okay, I would.
Decimals are numbers too.
Okay. I'm
Why
sorry.
are you discriminating?
I'm sorry.
I'm not saying it's
It's
right.
not- it's
I'm
not
saying
right.
Yes, you can.
It's not
It's
right.
not right.
Discriminate.
All right, let's go ahead and kind of start talking about this, and let's see. Okay, so first off, isolate the absolute value. Okay, isolate the absolute value. That doesn't mean you distribute the 3. You cannot distribute on absolute values. Okay, can't do that. If it's on the outside, it's got to be moved over. All right, so how are we going to do this? What are we going to do here?
Divide by 3.
Divide by 3, right? This is saying 3 times this guy. Our job, if you even want to think about it, just cover this guy up. What is on the outside, and that's what you need to move. Okay? It's the same concept right here. If I cover up my absolute value, what's left over? The 4 and the 2, we need to move them. Okay? So here, if I cover up my absolute value, what's left over? The 3 on the outside. You need to move the 3 first. Okay? So divide by 3 on both sides, and you have the absolute value of v minus 7 equals 11. Is everybody okay with that first step?
Yeah.
Okay, now we've got absolute value isolated. So what are our 2 equations down here going to be? John, what do our 2 equations look like?
Well, we're going to add
7 to 11.
Okay, so b minus 7 equals 11, what will the other guy look like?
Other guy would look,
How would you write your negative equation?
Negative 3, right?
4, yes, I agree with the negative 4.
Oh.
So then b minus 7 equals negative 11, okay? So those are positive equation, negative equation, right? Write your two equations, and now just solve them. Okay, so John's already said something about, let's add 7, what do we get there? 18. Add 7 on this guy, and what do we end up with there? Negative 4. And those are your two answers. Okay? Alright, does anybody have a question on that? Okay, why don't you try H now? Try H, and let's see how you do on that. Okay, remember, isolate first. These you have the 12 and the 3 on the outside, right? You have to use additions, subtractions, that first. Okay. Okay, so what do you think you're gonna move first there? Okay, you're gonna move the 3, but do you see it's 12 out here too? Start by subtracting it. Do your addition subtraction first, and then divide by your 3. Alright, I'm gonna help you out. If you remembered anything from the beginning of the lesson, you already have an answer here. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at this one and see what you messed up, because I see some of you working real hard when you didn't need to. Alright, what's the first step that we should do here? First step.
What?
Isolate. How do we isolate? Subtract the 12, right? So find, cover up if you've got to, cover up that square root. Absolute value. What do you gotta move? You've got the 3 and you've got the 12, right? Start by moving that 12 first, just like when we solve equations. Okay, so I'm gonna subtract 12 over to the other side. And I have 3, absolute value of 2r plus 9 equals negative 2. Now what would you do? Oh, no. Is your absolute value isolated yet?
No.
Isolate it first before you call it. Okay, so now divide by 3.
Oh.
So now you've got the absolute value of 2r plus 9 equals negative 2/3. Now you can call it, but this absolute value needs to be all by itself first. So once you've moved the outside pieces and you've got a negative 2/3, what's your answer going to be? A no solution. It cannot be equal to a negative number. So as soon as you see absolute value equal to a negative, you're done. Yes, ma'am.
So if on a test you don't, if you don't isolate the absolute value, would it be wrong?
Yes. Okay. And the only reason is, just don't do this, but if you just look at the screen real quick, if I were to change this over to a negative 3, and you at this point, we're going to try to call it no solution. When I divide by a negative, now it turns into a positive, and that makes a difference. You see what I'm saying? So isolate the square root or absolute value first, and then make a call. Okay? All right, flip over to the back. Sam, you got a question?
Yeah.